Olivia.
Hi, I'm Gemma.
Hi, I'm Caitlin.
And welcome to our Year 4 World Without Waste HAS unit.
This fieldwork is located in the Grade 4 eating area, which is a large undercover structure with concrete flooring. Other human features include a set of 5 bubblers, a rubbish bin, long seating benches, and bag racks. Environmental features include the natural flora surrounding the concrete area, a school garden and chicken pen, and fauna such as a bush turkey, butchery birds, crows, magpies, and a chicken. The inquiry question is, how can we make the Grade 4 eating area a more sustainable place? Throughout our waste management unit, students have discovered that the Grade 4 eating area often has a build-up of litter and waste that could be disposed of in more sustainable ways. As a result, students decided to conduct a waste audit to identify specific and current waste management issues so they can provide relevant sustainable solutions. This fieldwork connects a current global issue to the daily lunchtime practices of Grade 4 students. This prompts them to accept responsibility and activate positive change to nurture a sustainable environment. Contributing to a cohesive society and sustainable environment are important aspects of the humanities and social sciences learning area of the Australian curriculum. The fieldwork is underpinned by the geographical concept of place because it prompts students to consider the social, cultural, political, and environmental significance of the Grade 4 eating area. Not only will students represent the location and characteristics of the eating area, but they will also deeply consider the intrinsic interconnections between people and places. Ultimately, students will be empowered to protect this important place in their lives.
The various activities have been designed around the Year 4 Geographical Knowledge and Understanding Content Descriptor, ACHASSK090, which looks at the use and management of natural resources and waste, and the different views on how to do this sustainably.
This is alongside 3 HAS skills content descriptors. ACHASSI074, which looks at locating and collecting information and data from various sources and observations. ACHASSI075, which focuses on the recording, sorting, and representation of data and locating places and their characteristics in different formats, which includes simple graphs, tables, maps, and discipline-appropriate conventions. And lastly, ACHASSI081, which focuses on reflecting on learning to propose actions in response to an issue or challenge and considering the possible effects of a proposed action.
Additionally, the activities require students to use a variety of general capabilities falling across literacy, numeracy, ICT, and sustainability, a full list of which can be seen on the left.
Why is it important?
Teaching this unit is very important as it addresses cross-curriculum priorities, mathematical skills, problem-solving skills, how to conduct an investigation, and presenting solutions. Learning these skills is not only important to the unit, but to the overall education of the student. This unit allows the students to be curious about recycling and learn about how to manage natural resources and waste to be sustainable. This is appropriate for the Grade 4 students because it connects to current global issues, waste management, to practices within their daily lives, which prompts students to accept responsibility for providing sustainable solutions. By connecting the unit to students' everyday lives, they become more involved and intrigued about the content, which implies their knowledge and the solutions they develop will be more in-depth and meaningful.
The fieldwork is suitable for a constructivist classroom where student-centered learning is a priority. Therefore, students have a strong purpose for making sense of geography concepts related to place. Students will actively participate in hands-on learning experiences, which stimulates curiosity, interest, and motivation to become informed global citizens who activate positive change. Students will frequently collaborate with each other, which enhances learning outcomes and supports them in building necessary personal and interpersonal skills for the 21st century. Students will also be supported to develop literacy, numeracy, and ICT capabilities during authentic learning experiences. Selective open-ended questions will be used to promote reflective thinking, to facilitate new learning discoveries, and to support students in drawing connections between their own lived experiences and the geography topic. These strategies, when used appropriately, foster an inclusive classroom that meets the needs of a full range in student abilities.
3 fieldwork activities have been designed in order to equip students with the necessary skills and understandings to complete the fieldwork and post-fieldwork activities.
The pre-fieldwork activities begin with an exploration of place. Students leave the classroom to go to the undercover area where they will be completing their waste audit. After having time to observe the area, the teacher will guide a discussion around what this place means to them. These questions have been adapted from Ruth Reynolds' Teaching Humanities and Social Sciences in the Primary School and can be seen on the screen here. Following this discussion, students will return back to the classroom and explore the terms quantitative and qualitative data. Students watch a 4-minute video which will help them with the completion of the next activity. After students have finished watching this video, in small groups predetermined by the teacher, students will create a fill-in Venn diagram with examples and descriptions of qualitative and quantitative data. Once completed, students will engage in a whole class discussion sharing their examples and descriptions. It's important that during this stage the teacher emphasises that students will need to collect both forms of data during the waste audit.
Once ideas have been shared, students will again break off into small groups and brainstorm ways in which they can gather both quantitative and qualitative data during their waste audit. Once this is completed, students will come back together and as a whole class evaluate responses given to identify the most effective and efficient qualitative and quantitative data to collect during the waste audit. Once these activities are done, students are ready for their fieldwork experience.
Fieldwork preparation.
To be able to complete the fieldwork activity, resources and materials need to be made and gathered. Firstly, the teacher needs to inspect the areas of the school and choose a location for the fieldwork to be conducted. The area needed to be where students can easily find waste and an area they can connect to, e.g. their eating area. Then resources were made. This included waste audit results worksheet with differentiated versions, a Y chart template, word wall, and area and station signs. These resources needed to be made so they were designed specifically for the unit and fieldwork which was being conducted. After these resources are made, the digital scales, tarps, tubs, disposable gloves, tongs, clipboards, and iPads needed to be gathered. The final stage in preparing for the fieldwork is setting up the area for the investigation. This includes placing area signs, labeling the tubs, and setting up the weighing and sorting stations.
Begins. Students will complete 3 beginning activities. These activities use a range of literacy, numeracy, and ICT skills and have been differentiated to meet the needs of all children involved. This will be covered in more detail later on.
To begin, once leaving the classroom to the undercover area, students will complete an on-site walk and Y chart. Students will walk around the eating area and observe the characteristics of the place.
Students are encouraged to try and focus using all their senses. Students could be asked to close their eyes to hone in on what they hear or use their hands to touch different objects to get a feeling for their texture. During the walk around, students will be filling in a Y chart where they will note things they see, feel, and hear. This can be added to collectively throughout the waste audit. On the screen, you can see an example of an empty and completed Y chart.
Next, the teacher will show the students how to use a compass for the mapping component of the fieldwork. The teacher will show the students how to use the compass to specifically identify north. Once they have done this, the students will then draw north on the map. Once they have done this, students will then write a title, scale, legend, and north point on their worksheet.
Once students have completed the mapping activity, they will then begin their litter count. While walking around, students will take notes by tallying the amount of pieces of litter they see and will then record it on their waste audit worksheet. Once this is completed, students are ready to begin the waste audit activity.
While completing the beginning fieldwork activities, students develop a number of literacy, numeracy, and ICT skills.
Students develop their literacy skills through composing written, visual, and multimodal responses to the questions posed to them throughout the activities. Additionally, they continue to develop and understand the use of specific learning area vocabulary. Students develop an understanding for how visual elements such as photos or drawings can create meaning for their answers while using text structure that is specific to what is being done. Numeracy skills are used to interpret tallies used to record the amount of litter on the ground during the litter count. ICT is implemented through the use of iPads as students need to be able to manage and operate them in order to complete aspects of some of the activities. Additionally, iPads are used as a way for students to record information for further use. Differentiation is implemented on a case-by-case basis. Some ways these activities can be differentiated to meet the needs of students are through the use of an iPad to type students' ideas, overriding them using the waste audit booklet, drawing pictures or taking photos to answer the why chart, partner work so that students can help each other, or additional support through the use of a teacher aide or parent helper.
To conduct the waste audit, the teacher will need to discuss safety expectations and behavioural expectations. Students could also be prompted to reflect on their purpose for conducting the waste audit. It is important to remind students of their job roles, which they will swap halfway through the audit. There will be sorters and recorders. The sorters will sort through the waste and place each item of waste into the appropriate category on the tar. They will then put these waste items into appropriate waste buckets, which are labelled for each waste category. The recorders will take photographs of the waste audit and they will write down reflections as they're observing the sorting area. They will also take the full tubs of each waste category and place them on the digital scales to record the weight of waste in each category. They'll also be adding to a tally chart for the volume of waste in each category by adding a tally every time there is a full waste bucket. The teacher, school officer and parent helpers will be available to support students in sorting the waste as well as in measuring and recording. The teacher will keep their own record of the data to ensure accuracy. We will now present an example of a waste audit that we conducted using household waste. It is important to note that in the Grade 4 waste audit, there will be a higher volume of waste to sort through. Therefore, it is likely that the buckets will be filled multiple times. The teacher can use open-ended questions throughout the waste audit to prompt reflective practices. For example, how does seeing this waste make you feel? How do you feel when you see all the materials that could have been recycled or composted? Could the amount of waste be reduced? How? What impact is this having on our natural environment? Who is responsible for protecting the eating area? How are human actions related to environmental consequences? These open-ended questions could facilitate new learning discoveries and ideas. For example, students may realise that they can place the food scraps from the waste audit into the compost bin in the school garden. This could even spark ideas for making this an everyday lunchtime practice. During the waste audit, students develop literacy, numeracy, and ICT skills. For example, students develop literacy skills through using geographical terminology in speaking, listening, and writing tasks. Students develop numeracy skills as they collect, classify, measure, record, and represent types of waste in a tally chart and data table in their booklet. They also calculate the sum of the volume and weight of waste from each category, and they synthesize numerical data to consider the effectiveness of their current lunchtime waste practices. ICT skills are developed as students operate the digital scale to measure waste, as well as their iPads to take photographs of the waste audit, and in potentially using iPads as a calculator. There are several differentiation strategies used to support students from a full range in abilities. I've placed examples on this slide, including making adjustments on a case-by-case basis for students with allergies or physical restrictions, providing multimodal ways of learning, referring students to a word wall to support literacy development, being available to support students in measuring and recording waste, making adjustments to student worksheets, for example, providing options to write or draw reflections, using collaborative approaches to enhance student learning, and carefully adjusting key questions to meet diverse students' needs. For example, the key question of how are human actions related to environmental consequences can be simplified to become what will happen to our eating area if we leave our rubbish on the ground, or adjusted to extend and challenge students by asking what are the short-term and long-term consequences of unsustainable waste practices.
The waste audit will be concluded by the students using guided questionings from their booklets to have an open discussion about the data they collected during the fieldwork, relating to ideas, opinions, and feelings with a partner. From this, the students will either write or draw their reflections. This is a differentiated activity allowing the students who struggle with writing to convey their reflection through drawing. The students may also refer back to their why chart for help and reflection about the fieldwork. This is also a differentiated approach as it allows the students to connect to their senses. Once this has been completed, the fieldwork is finished and the class will then return to the classroom. The waste audit The data from the fieldwork will be used in the post-fieldwork lessons to reinforce the content. The data will first be used in the post-fieldwork lessons to construct graphs to compare and visualize the data. This will be done by the students having worksheets which are differentiated. One worksheet will have the students construct a bar graph from a blank grid, and the other will have the students construct a picture graph from a grid which already has labels and markings on it. In today's education, teachers are expected to take differences between students into account and adapt their instructions and guidance. This gives the students the best opportunity to learn and succeed. Once these graphs have been constructed, students will then use the data to predict the amount of waste which is left in the eating area. They will predict the amount of waste which is biodegradable and the amount which will become landfill. When the students calculate the predictions, the class will have a discussion about why this happens and if there's anything they can do to resolve this issue. Students will then break into groups to create solutions for these waste issues. By doing these activities with the data collected, it permits the students to learn more about waste management. Also, by using the collected data, we can then start to develop mathematical skills, ICT skills, and problem-solving skills.